Every human being carries within himself a great paradox, a deep and terrible duality that governs the rhythm of inner life. We are creatures of both light and shadow, saints and sinners, creators and destroyers. The darkness we so fear within ourselves is not a mistake or an imperfection. It is an intrinsic part of the totality of our being. We are made not merely of our virtues and our desire to be good, but of the darker forces that reside beneath the surface: anger, envy, lust, pride, and despair. It is this very darkness that holds the key to the deepest understanding of who we are and why we exist. One cannot become whole by denying or repressing the shadow. What is buried alive within us continues to shape our lives from the depths of the unconscious. To confront the dark side of the psyche is to enter the underworld of the soul. The ancient realm of symbols and instincts modern humanity has tried desperately to ignore. We have built a civilization that worships light, reason, and order. In doing so, we have exiled our shadow. We have forgotten that light has no meaning without darkness. When a person refuses to look into his own abyss, he becomes its victim. When he dares to turn toward it, he begins a sacred journey, the path of individuation, the realization of the true self. This journey demands descent into hidden depths and confrontation with the parts of ourselves long despised or denied. Only through this encounter can we discover the meaning of suffering and the purpose animating our existence. The shadow is not an enemy to be destroyed, but a teacher to be understood. It reveals what has been rejected, repressed, or left unintegrated. Within it lie instincts that once served our ancestors, emotions society condemned, and creativity, conformity silenced. In every human being there is a dark treasure, a reservoir of untapped power and meaning waiting to be brought into consciousness. To deny this is to live only half a life, fragmented and hollow, guided by borrowed ideals and external validation. Those who dare to embrace their darkness begin to live authentically. At first, the shadow appears threatening. It manifests as anxiety, addiction, rage, self-sabotage, or depression. These are not mere ailments to be eliminated, but signals from the unconscious calling for recognition. Repeated failure is not always caused by injustice in the world, but by a neglected part of the psyche demanding attention. Envy and hatred are not moral condemnations, but invitations to explore unacknowledged desires buried beneath the social mask. Every forbidden emotion conceals a fragment of truth about who we are. The more the shadow is resisted, the stronger it becomes. The more it is confronted, the more it reveals. To understand purpose, one must enter the labyrinth of the self, not to slay the monster within, but to learn its language. The monster, the dragon, the demon are ancient symbols of the shadow's power, projections of unconscious fears and unrealized potential clothed in myth. The hero's journey across cultures is the story of descent into darkness, confrontation with chaos, and return with wisdom. What myth expresses outwardly, the psyche enacts inwardly. Each individual must descend into a private underworld. There, amid the ruins of illusion, lies the gold hidden in the shadow. Purpose is not given ready, made. It is forged in conflict, contradiction, and suffering. The soul demands growth, and growth demands friction. Comfort reveals little. It is in despair, when the ego collapses under its own falsehoods, that the true self begins to emerge. This self is not the polished image shown to the world, but the totality of being, the union of conscious and unconscious, light and dark. To live according to this deeper self is to live in harmony with destiny. Modern culture teaches fear of darkness. We are told to suppress anger, hide grief, pursue positivity. Yet these emotions are not defects, they are signals of transformation. Anger reveals violated boundaries, sadness reveals lost meaning, fear reveals unrealized potential. Depression, often dismissed as illness, can be the soul's demand for renewal, a call to examine the falseness of outer life. The descent into darkness is painful but purifying. It burns illusion and awakens authenticity. What is denied does not disappear. It possesses us from behind. What we refuse to see in ourselves, we project onto others. Thus, the denied aggressor sees enemies everywhere. The repressed envies obsess over others' success. The denied instinct becomes moral outrage. Projection divides the world into good and evil and fuels endless conflict. Peace begins with the withdrawal of projection, the courage to say, "This darkness is also mine." Integration is not indulgence, but transformation. The shadow, once conscious, becomes vitality. Energy trapped in repression becomes available for creativity, love, and purpose. Many great artists and thinkers transmuted darkness into genius, not through serenity, but struggle. Behind rage lies passion. Behind envy lies creative longing. Behind pride lies dignity. Behind fear lies courage. What once seemed a flaw becomes potential. The shadow is the crucible of the soul, the dark soil from which life draws nourishment. Without it, no growth is possible. Eventually, one must stop living by external expectation and listen to the inner voice, the voice that speaks through dreams, failures, and crises. It is not gentle, but it is true. Crisis is not destruction to the soul, but initiation. Beneath anger lies sacred protection. Beneath jealousy lies the desire for authentic expression. Beneath depression lies the longing for truth. When this is understood, suffering becomes meaningful. The shadow becomes a guide. Dreams, symbols, and synchronicities are the language of the unconscious calling toward wholeness. To ignore them is to remain asleep. To follow them is to awaken. Perfection is sterile. Wholeness is divine. Wholeness embraces all opposites, joy and pain, creation and destruction, love and loss. Through darkness, the soul gains depth. Without suffering, no consciousness. Without conflict, no evolution. Purpose is not imported from above. It is born from the darkness we flee. The aim of life is not moral purity, but psychological integration, not becoming good, but becoming real. When the shadow is integrated, relationships transform, projection dissolves, love becomes communion between whole beings, compassion deepens, forgiveness becomes possible. Societies that deny their collective shadow create enemies to carry it. Wars and fanaticism are the result of unintegrated darkness. Healing begins with the individual. To discover purpose, one must descend into darkness and ask not what the world demands, but what the soul requires. Purpose does not come by choice. It chooses you when you align with your totality. The darkness is not empty. It is full of light. Fear becomes creativity. Conflict becomes meaning. The shadow walks beside you, no longer an enemy, but a companion. In embracing it, you embrace yourself, and in embracing yourself, you fulfill the purpose for which you were born. The darkness is not the enemy, it is the womb of rebirth. Only by entering the abyss can the divine spark be found. To meet the shadow is to meet the truth of the soul. The day you embrace your shadow is the day you become whole. And in that wholeness, your purpose is revealed not as something to be found, but as something you have always been becoming.